We're here at the ISRA range in Bonfield for NRA Day, the open house at the range. And we are talking to Lee Grow-Herring. He is the second vice president of the ISRA. So Lee, tell the people, if they've never been here before or if it's been a couple of years since they've been to the open house, what kind of activities can they participate in here?
Well, Gretchen, I'm so glad you asked. Today, and a very nice day we're having, when they come in, and after they go through this procedure to get their training or their training and their bullets, their ammunition, they can come out. They can shoot rimfire rifles. They can shoot pistols. They can shoot center fire pistols. They can shoot ARs. They can shoot .308 rifles, which we just heard one probably. And then there's a French and Indian reenactment. There's World War II vehicles here. A lot of vehicles, very nice vehicles that have come in to set up for us. We've also got archery, air gun, shotgun, so many different activities. We have merchandise for sale for the ISRA. Just a lot of fun activities for them today to see.
So which of the activities are available for kids under the age of 18, say?
All kids. They can shoot the pistols and rifles. We have qualified trainers over there that will assist them. Each individual person shooting has a trainer with them. So all the kids can go over and shoot rifle and pistol. They can shoot probably up to 9mm depending on their age. They can go out and shoot archery if they want. They can do air gun if they want. There's black powder. We even have kids that are shooting black powder. So a lot of festivities for the kids for today.
That's great. It's great that it's an event for the whole family, fun for the whole family, and so it's not just for the grown-ups, and we'd love to see everybody out here at the ISRA range.
We're talking with Doug Mayhall, who's the Vice President of the Illinois State Rifle Association. So, Doug, what goes into planning this event every year?
There's quite a lot involved in going into the planning on it. It is several months in advance. We check with many of the manufacturers to see if they're able to come for rifle, pistol, shotgun, things like that. We have to make sure we have all our materials, like the ammo, the clay pigeons, things like that, all the different guns.
So how many volunteers does it take to actually run the event?
It takes over 300 volunteers to have the event. Each of the disciplines needs anywhere between 15 and up to 50 helpers to make the event work. We have to have people that sell the tickets. We sell merchandise. We register. We have to have FOID card holders take the guns up to the line for the people to shoot. So it's quite an involved process. We have a meeting every month for the 5 months previous to the event to get all the details worked out. And things we need to have, like we have to have water at all the disciplines, and this time we found out this morning we forgot paper cups for the water, so we had to get paper cups. So little details like that can get forgotten, but we've been doing it so long, we don't make too many mistakes like that, fortunately.
I'm here with Terry Kreimeier. He's on the board of directors of the ISRA. So Terry, what we want to know is, if for someone who's never been here before, what can they expect when they pull up and park?
Well, the first thing is, when they pull up, we're going to park across the street. There's plenty of parking over there. It's free. Then we'll shuttle them over in golf carts, unless, of course, they prefer to walk. We're not going to make somebody ride in a golf cart if they don't want to ride in a golf cart. We'll bring them over here. Then they've got to go in through registration, get registered, sign a waiver, come out of registration, go through a safety briefing. Everybody here, even all the workers that are here and everything else, go through a safety briefing. I don't care if you've been shooting for a week, a minute, never shot, or been shooting for 30 years. You still got to go through a safety briefing. Once you've been through the safety briefing, you go in. You can purchase your ammo tickets if you want. The NRA's here with a gun drawing. You can get in on that. It's a 1 in 50 chance of drawing. Every time they sell 50 chances, they draw a gun and got a good odds to get a gun. And then you can wander out through the grounds and go shoot what you want to shoot.
So do people need to bring their own hearing and eye protection?
If they have them, they want to use their own, they can. We have hearing protection and eye protection for everyone that's here.
That's excellent. I think that's it's a great service for people. So what does it cost to come to this event?
Parking is free. To get in is free. Depending on how much you want to shoot would be how much it costs. You can't bring your guns or your ammunition. However, we have plenty of guns, plenty of different types of guns. We have a lot of manufacturers here with brand new guns, and we have ammunition for every caliber of gun that we have.
So we're with Rich Pearson, who's Executive Director of the Illinois State Rifle Association. So Rich, what exactly is the ISRA?
Well, the ISRA is a many-faceted gun rights and education organization. We started out training people going into the military before they went in, and we have done that even up to this day. We still train people who are in the military or are about ready to go into military and marksmanship skills. And so that is part of our section of national defense. That's actually why we were founded. But of course, we've expanded to almost every facet of the shooting sports. You know, we have gun collectors, we have high-power shooters, pistol shooters, competitive shooters of all kinds. We've sent shooters to the Olympics, and we have recreational shooters. You know, there are more and more people owning firearms in Illinois, and somewhere almost 2.2 million people right now. And so we spend out a vast amount of training material every year. I would suppose it amounts to over 60 or 70,000 pieces of training material every year. Some people get them, they use them. I'm sure that we've helped a lot of people. We have a great range here. We have 215 firing positions, so if you can't find a place to shoot, don't blame me, okay? But 12 of those, however, are inside, and we just use those in the winter. It's an Olympic air gun range is what that is. So we have all kinds of leagues for people to maintain their skills. We bring in people like Rod Pincus, Masad Ayub, and others to train people here at the range. I know some of my other competitors will talk about the lobbying activities and the educational activities we actually give to gun owners on what is important and what is going on in Springfield. That's not lobbying, that's actually educating our own people and a lot of other people too.
And one of the things you do is you put out a weekly newsletter to kind of update people on what's going on.
Yeah, I put out a little thing called the Thursday Bulletin, and then of course we have email alerts, we have snail mail alerts. We have helped recently with the dealer licensing bills. You know, we put a lot of pressure on that. We picked up a lot of stuff and helped with the National Shooting Sports Foundation with their situation there. So we're in it. We're in it right up to our neck.
And it's the cost of membership is actually pretty low, and you get all the information, particularly living in a state like Illinois.
Yes, be an annual member. It's $30 a year, big dollars.
And how do we join?
You can either go online, or if you're here, you can go right behind the camera there and sign up. But you can join online and just go to www.isra.org, and there's a join button there. Hit the join button.
We're with Jim Vanopel here. Jim's a past president of the Illinois State Rifle Association, on the board of directors, and one of the ISRA's full-time lobbyists. Talk a little bit about what the ISRA does in Springfield.
Well, we are there to influence the decisions and the actions of the legislators, both the senators and the state representatives. We're interested in only one topic, and that, of course, is firearms and all of the associated things, ownership, licensing, and that sort of thing.
So people who are considering joining the ISRA ask, what does my $30 go to? How many lobbyists do we actually have in Springfield?
Well, we have 5 lobbyists at the present time. Richard Pearson, who's the executive director, and myself, we are both dedicated lobbyists for the NRA. For the ISRA. We do this on a full-time basis, which is about 5 months, biggest part of 5 months every year. We have 3 other lobbyists that we hire on a part-time basis. They're contract lobbyists, and they represent other people. Where we are dedicated, they're non-dedicated. They work for a lot of people. 2 of those lobbyists are former state representatives. One of them is a long-time lobbyist. She has a great deal of experience in it. All very effective people.
And so what types of things are you looking for?
We're looking for anything that will affect the law-abiding gun owner, whether it's an opposing view or a supporting view. Is it going to hurt us or is it going to help us? We want to promote those things that are going to help us. We want to oppose very vigorously the things that will go against us. We have propositions all the time. It's a continuing battle. We always see bills that come before the House and the Senate to restrict the ownership and the use of firearms. Items like licensing, bans on certain types of firearms, bans on possession, restrictions on sale, those kinds of things.
You're kind of an interesting character because you were working as a lobbyist for no pay on your own for doing this type of thing for how long now?
Well, I've been actively involved since about the middle of the 1960s, right at the present time for the last 30 years, roughly 30 years. I retired from a real job and I became a full-time lobbyist for ISRA.
So this is a way of life for you, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's not only for me, but for my wife and our family. They've all been party to this and quite supportive of my efforts.
Don Moran, President of the Illinois State Rifle Association. One of the things I think that people who are considering joining the organization need to understand, we talk about the legislative efforts, but also litigation is a really big part of the ISRA.
Yep, that's true. When I became president about 11 and a half years ago, I brought to the ISRA board and we had a regional membership meeting, and I asked those members at the meeting if they thought it was time that we tried to leverage litigation against our legislative efforts to try and move the ball. Our legislature in Illinois, obviously, in 2007, wasn't very cooperative on pro-gun issues, and so we kind of had to drag them to the trough and make them drink. We started in 2007, we filed a case called Wilson versus Cook County. It was about Cook County had passed what they deemed to be an assault weapon ban, but essentially banned every semi-automatic firearm. We started with that case. We suspended that case last year. It may get reintroduced. We're still talking about it. And then we followed that up with an amicus brief in the Heller versus DC case, which was the case that it didn't incorporate the Second Amendment, but it found that the Second Amendment was an individual right of people of the United States. Okay, but it was only restricted to a federal enclave because D.C. isn't a state. So then we followed that up an hour and 17 minutes after the Heller decision came down. We filed a case called McDonald versus Chicago, where we took Chicago to court over their handgun ban and their registration scheme in the city. And same attorney that represented Mr. Heller represented Otis McDonald and his co-plaintiffs, ISRA being one of them, in the McDonald versus Chicago case. His name is Alan Gura. He represents the Second Amendment Foundation, is who he works for, is one of his clients. And we joined into that lawsuit. That lawsuit overturned the Chicago handgun ban, which had been in place since 1984. But more importantly, it incorporated a Second Amendment to the states, which had never been done before. When the original Bill of Rights came about, they weren't automatically incorporated to the states. And it took some years, 100 and something years, before they were eventually incorporated into the states. But they didn't incorporate all of them at one time. So the courts have been going back, taking little tiny bites at the apple. And so we incorporated the Second Amendment to the states, and that said that the Second Amendment was enforceable throughout the entire United States and its territories. So one of our attorneys that represented us in that case, David Siegel, was just an attorney of record in a case that took place in a South Pacific island that I can't think of the name of, but it's an American territory, and they had banned handguns on the islands, and he won that case because of the McDonald case. So that was an important case. We moved on to, beyond that, we went to Ezell versus Chicago. And Rhonda Ezell is walking around a show here today. Wonderful woman, brave. All these people who put their head on a chopping block to participate as plaintiffs against big municipalities like the city of Chicago, Cook County. Rhonda Ezell came up, and she wanted to get her Chicago gun permit, which was the first thing that was required after we struck down the Chicago handgun ban. And they required, as part of their ordinance, that the people who wanted to have a handgun permit, a firearm permit, in fact, needed to go through so many hours of range training. And in the same ordinance, they banned shooting ranges from the city of Chicago. So we took that to court, 7th Court of Appeals. It went up to them several times, and they ruled that, you know, it's like saying, okay, you can have books, but you can ban libraries. Okay, you can't do it. It's intrinsic to the Second Amendment, and you know, one goes with the other. You have to have both. So we won that case in all of its iterations. Chicago now has an ordinance that allows shooting ranges. I'd say it's not crazy about how reasonable it is, but it's better than what they originally came up with. I'm not sure if it would work with anybody's business plan yet, but it's a lot closer than what it was.
Well, and it's definitely a step in the right direction, and that's what it's about. And I think it's safe to say that Illinois would not have concealed carry were it not for the ISRA.
Well, we tried another case. We had 2 cases going, parallel cases. We recommended another gun rights organization to our partners at SAF for them to partner up with, and we did it kind of 2 ways around to the middle. And so Second Amendment Foundation picked up another pro-gun rights organization in the state of Illinois to act as their plaintiffs, and we acted as a plaintiff in a case that was participated in by the NRA. And what we did was we tried those cases. They both went up to the 7th Court of Appeals. The 7th Court of Appeals combined them at their level. Okay, and what came out of that case was that you have a right to your Second Amendment outside of your home. Okay, in Heller, there was something in the dicta that said it's most prevalently in a home, or some language along those lines. But it didn't say always in a home. It didn't say only in a home. It said mostly in a home. So the 7th Court of Appeals said it's not defining this thing as being inside your home. You have a right outside your home. And at the time, Illinois had no provision for a common citizen for concealed carry or for open carry. There was no provision to carry outside of your own property lines. And so we took this case to court. The 7th Court of Appeals sided with us and decided that yes, you do. You have a right. So Illinois had to do something. The legislature had to do something. You know, if you're following this history now, you see that everything that we've done, all the litigation we've involved in, always needs some kind of follow-up from the legislature to say, this is how this now becomes law. The courts don't make law. They just define whether or not it's constitutional or not. So the state legislature came back, and some people were angry with us about the eventual bill that came out that the ISRA stayed neutral on it, but we were kind of in a fix because the court said you had to have concealed carry in Illinois, but they didn't say how it had to happen. Okay, there's a lot of states out there that have may issue laws, which means it's up to your county sheriff whether or not he gives it to you or not. Okay, and there's other states that have laws that don't preempt the local ordinances. Well, in Illinois, we've got Cook counties, 51% of the population in Illinois. And we've got 51% of the representation then in the state legislatures from Cook County. So there were some things we needed to come out of in Springfield with the legislation for concealed carry. And what we wanted preemption from local ordinance. We wanted shall issue. We wanted only 8 hours of training, because when you go over 1 day of training, the numbers of people who apply for it exponentially decrease. And so the bill that came out had 16 hours of training in it. We thought that we still had a good starting position for concealed carry law in Illinois. There were some things, little things about it that we didn't like, nuances. The rules weren't all spelled out. They were going to be developed later. But that, if we got the main law in place, then we had something to work with. And so we weren't thrilled with the bill, but if we went against it to try and get 8 hours of training or whatever, the bill probably would have failed, and we could have ended up with may issue. We could have ended up without the preemption. And so we took what we could get at the time. Okay, but we didn't go out and say we love this bill by saying we support it. That's why we went neutral. And a lot of people have criticized us for that, but it was really the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah, and I followed it in the subcommittees. I was watching it, and basically it was very give and take. We'll give you this, which is why sometimes when you look at it, it looks like a patchwork, but it was a compromise from the beginning.
And it was a good compromise for us. We got shall issue and preemption, without which concealed carry in Illinois would be useless.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's it. Don Moran, president of the Illinois State Rifle Association, and it's on our litigation efforts.